morning, Eagles, and welcome back to the Talon Weekly. I'm your host, Riley Robertson.
And I'm your co-host, Kirsten McGee. Let's take a look at our weather with meteorologist David Hale.
Welcome back to Thunder and Hail. I'm your host, David Hale. Let's go check out the weather.
Thunder and Hail with David Hale.
Partly cloudy skies, highs 58 degrees. Winds are west to northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. There's a 4% chance of precipitation, so not much. But then tonight it's going to get down to 31 degrees, and it's going to be mostly clear with winds being around 7 miles per hour south to southeast. Throughout this week, it looks like it's going to stay mostly sunny with a couple of days out of the week being partly cloudy or mostly cloudy. Throughout the week, there's going to be a consistent wind gust that's going to be around 10 miles to 20 miles per hour. That will generally stay southwest, southeast, or northwest. The temperatures this week are to be in the mid-60s and are going to go all the way up to the high 60s by the end of this week. The lows are going to be in the 30s and 40s.
Thanks, David. First up today, here's a look at the blanket drive that Eldorado held a few weeks back.
So we put the box outside of Eldorado, and we were not expecting to get as many as we did. We got over 60 blankets. So we took them to Joy Junction, and we met the director there, and he was very thankful. He gave us a tour of Joy Junction, and he told us that the blankets go to people there, and then they also take them out every day to homeless people in the community. We're like, we can't even imagine how cold like the homeless are without jackets, and so I was really happy about how it turned out, and I was really excited that I got to be a part of it just because we impacted a lot of people in our community.
Last Friday, EHS Senate and Administration organized the Senior Soar-Through, meant to be a celebration for the class of 2021.
The Soar-Through started out, all of the seniors would come through by the tennis courts, and then their first stop would be at the Senior Panoramic. And so that's where I was mainly working. I was helping some teachers escort kids out of their cars. We were only allowing 10 seniors out of their cars at a time just to keep everyone safe. And when we would take those 10 seniors out, they'd go take their picture for the Senior Panoramic in front of a green screen for us to Photoshop it later and make one big Senior Panoramic. And then after that, they'd go to the north parking lots and get some goodies. So they picked up their IDs, they got some candy. I think there were some parents there that gave out some other treats. They also got these t-shirts, and then everyone also got a yard sign.
The Soar-Through was a success and served as a small yet great way to commend the seniors for their hard work and perseverance.
So it was just some things that we could do to make seniors still feel special in this crazy year, add some normalcy to it.
Here's freshman KAYLEY MACY, who has been a competitive dancer for nearly her entire life.
My favorite part of dance is getting to express myself through movement. I would say do it because it's probably the best thing that I've ever done. I've been doing it since I was 18 months, so I don't really know anything else, but it definitely is just amazing. And it's an amazing form of art and way to express yourself differently.
Interested in joining Spanish National Honor Society? Please contact Profe Burrows for more information. They will begin accepting applications starting March 1st.
In order to apply, you need to either be a rising sophomore going into Spanish 3 or a rising junior or senior going into Spanish 3 or higher with a minimum GPA of 3.5.
Applications are due no later than March 31st at 3 p.m.
Last Sunday, over 100 students, parents, and coaches gathered in front of APS City Center to protest the board's decision to continue in the virtual setting for the remainder of the semester.
I kind of honestly feel like I wanted to cry. Like, it felt like I said like a slap in the face, and like I was just so shocked. Like, it didn't feel real.
My initial thoughts is I felt bad for the student athletes, but like overall, I felt bad for our student body, because I feel as if that a lot of students have lost out on a lot of opportunities for themselves, like other clubs, not just athletics. And I mean, I support what's going on with like students wanting their voice heard, but at the same time, I feel like everybody's lost out on things. So I feel like it needs to be a united front.
I know a lot of kids are using sports as like their way to get to college or even for scholarships. And I know me personally, I've worked so hard and I've been so excited for like my senior season. And I know just for other kids who like sports just a huge part of their life, like, this is like an important thing. That's why I'm so strong about it, because I know how it feels, and how hard I've worked personally.
I think like we need to put like things in perspective. I think we're all pretty lucky still. Like we're at a great school. Like we have a lot of things going for us, like other than like just those clubs. And I just think we need to take advantage of the things that are going for us rather than focus and dwelling on like the bad things right now.
This afternoon, Eldorado's BSU, GSA, and Diversify Our Narrative will be hosting an intersectionality meeting at 2:15 p.m. Make sure to join.
Intersectionality is a very broad term that describes two different groups that have been that are minority groups or that have been marginalized, and then bringing them together. Specifically, an intersectional person, for example, would be a person who is part of both of these groups, like someone who is LGBTQ and a person of color, or somebody who's disabled and a person of color, or just or a woman and LGBTQ, or all of these at once. They could be all of them at once. And generally speaking, the more intersectional marginalized groups you're part of, usually the more marginalized you are and the more vulnerable the intersectional groups are than just the single group by themselves.
Basically, like acknowledging that everyone has their own unique experiences of discrimination and oppression, and how we have to consider everything that may marginalize people.
It's important for intersectional people to understand their history and understand their advocacy, but also for non-intersectional people to understand where they're coming from.
These marginalized groups, they usually go through like social exclusion and are faced with tremendous like disadvantages. And in order to lift them up and give them a voice, we have to recognize our own privilege.
And of course, it is important for all three of those categories, intersectional, just one community, or completely non-intersectional, to all participate in the discussion. Because for the people who only fit into one of those communities, it's still good to learn about the backgrounds of other communities.
We basically have to create inclusivity and make sure that our issues are talked about, and so we could be one step closer to solving them.
Here's a look at the new preferred name change feature in Google platforms across the district, which is a project that was first initiated by Eldorado's GSA.
GSA at Eldorado has been trying to kind of accomplish this change of students being able to have a preferred name in Google Meet instead of their given name and their legal first name. Because I mean, a lot of students don't go by that name, especially folks in the LGBTQ community and trans people who haven't fully transitioned, or it's not okay with their parents yet, or, you know, there are a lot of extenuating circumstances that, this should have never been an issue at all. It should have been thought out and worked out when we went online in March, but it just never was. And so we've just been trying over the past pretty much semester to get this fixed, and finally it has been.
Students were getting called by the wrong name all the time, and even if they weren't being called by the wrong name was being shown all over the virtual environment.
We did meet with GSAs across the district, and there were several students who voiced how much this means to them and how painstaking the process of having to go through Synergy and get your name changed, and how hard and taxing that is for them, especially in an online environment. And so it's just been, I mean, I would call it revolutionary. Like it's such a simple thing, just a name, but to be referred to as you want to be is so impactful. Like every single day, it's such a small thing, but it means so much.
Some of the pushback we got from it really made us want to push harder for these students who are now being represented as who they are. And that just means a lot to me, because everybody should feel comfortable in their own skin.
I just think it's a super positive change, kids, you guys, students deserve to be called the name that you are, right? Not your birth name, but the name that you are comfortable with. So yeah, I'm super excited, and it took months and months and lots of time and lots of effort and meetings and back and forth, but super worth it.
We fought for our rights to be who we are and to be proud of the community this is just one small step to see the LGBTQ community be accepted as much as possible, so future kids won't be discriminated against who they are.
So really this is all about making our classrooms safer spaces, more inclusive spaces where students can just be themselves. And it is a huge win because even though this was started by the GSA with students who identify as non-binary and transgender in mind, you know, this decision really impacts thousands and thousands and thousands of students across the district. It really is a question about mental health, right? And when you are being misgendered or misnamed daily, or not even being misnamed, but your birth name, which nobody calls you, is being portrayed to your whole class, you're basically being like reversed outed. As a student, just ask a teacher to do it. That's it. That's all you need to do. They will take the process from there. As a teacher, get the preferred name, ask Yvonne Dion to make the change, and she will get it done. And that's it.
It was a team effort, and without the team, this would have never happened.
I cannot express my pride for our Eldorado GSAs. Like, I am unbelievably proud of them and the work that they have put in.
It's like a district-wide thing, all of APS, and I'm super proud of our GSA for kind of spearheading this.
Finally, here's today's fun fact.
Yo, what up, guys? Did you know that the most common name in the world is Muhammad? Have a good Friday, y'all.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at EHS Talon Aguila.
Thanks for watching, Eagles, and we'll see you next week. Have a happy Friday.